Okay, guys. So the first thing in today's class, we will look at the complete and debug code that retrieves from input and sets from field value. What that means? HTML page, simple HTML page we have, right? Let's look at here. Okay, not that index form, right? Let's go back here. So if I go live view, right, what you will see? Simple HTML. There is input to add the name, maybe password, select is there, right? Then there is a basically the checkbox. Then we have the basically the radio button, then submit button, something like that, right? So the point is the first point, right? How we can access the value from here. These are the value already. There is some password, there is text. You can select one of this value, right? You can select this male or female. So when you submit, right, how you can access all this field? That's the question. So we know, right? If we look at this form, let me just do something, right? So label. Can we do some CSS thing? Okay, there is no label, nothing, right? Okay, fine. Just the input, okay? I mean, we can improve that, but anyway, just leave it. Just understand you have input field, right? Input field. In the input field, type is text, ID is username, we know that. Name, you must have name there. Value is this, right? This is a default value. You can change this also, right? You can change that also, okay? That's the first field. Second input is for password. Type, look at the type, right? Password, okay? The next is select, simple select, right? You can select something from here, okay? How select work? There is ID, there is a, you can add the name of the country, because whatever you select from here, the value, right? USA. So name equal to USA or name equal to Canada, right? Basically country, not name, look at the country, right? Value. Country equal to USA, country equal to Can or Mexico, whatever, right? So that's how you're gonna get the option, okay? Done. Now you have input with checkbox, right? ID is there, name, subscribe, and checked, right? So you can even get a value if you want. Let's add a value of subscribe, right? So that when you subscribe, when you click this, you should get that value, right? This value. Or even let's say you can get, I believe, true and false. Even just leave it, right? True and false. Boolean value will be fine. If nothing there, you're gonna get true and false, right? So we'll check later. So inside this field set box, we added this yesterday. No, that was different, right? You have the label for mail, and inside there is an input box, correct? With the type radio, gender is the name, value is their male, ID, and checked. Similarly, you have this label for female, right? And there is a input for female. Good. Then we have the button for submit. So look at this submit button, right? Remember why yesterday the function was not working when we have something like this? I will explain it because I was doing something. I was not paying attention. So I will just explain that also later. So there is different way you can retrieve the value, right? Either you just click the button, then attach the event listeners, what we checked yesterday, and there you can add the callback functions, or you can directly on click attach the function here. So we're gonna check both way, right? So when I click this button, right? When I click this button, this function will run, okay? This function will run. This function runs, right? And then in this function, what we are doing now is accessing the form. First, the whole form, right? You can access this form. This form you can access. So either you can access each field one by one, or you can just access this form, right? How you can do that? Document.get element by ID, my form, right? Look at here. The form has ID of my form. So now in JavaScript, I'm writing JavaScript here by putting the script, right? Script tag and just writing the JavaScript. That is okay. You have access to this form now. So you can create variables like username, password, country, subscribe, right? All that. Okay, so all that, right? And then also you have input field here. So for input field, to get the value of input field, right, will be little different, but I will explain that later. So how we can get this one, right? These are just a variable form.elements, and in the square bracket you can pass the name, right? Username, the name is password, name is country, name is subscribe. Okay, this will give you access to this field. Basically form.elements username means you have access to this field, right? And dot value will be whatever value here, the text. So now this is complete. On the right side is what? When you put something like this, on the right side of the equal sign means whatever value you will getting back is assigned to the variable here on the left side. So always left side is the name, right? Identification of the variable, the name. Here we store the value. Similarly for everything, right? Okay. The last one is gender, variable gender, right? Why I have not done like this? Because in that case, right, you have, for example, if you have many select button, even because we have only one checkbox, then it will work. But you have multiple like this, right? In that situation, we have to, select little differently. Query selector, is that okay? Input is just the input, right? Any input, but we specify now, right? Remember the attribute selector? So input square bracket, and then you pass the name attribute here, right? Like this. Just delete this. So that is the just input square bracket name attribute, correct? So that means the input which has the name called gender, right? So, and then colon and mark check. Checked is this is the value, right? Already when you check one of them. So the name is gender, right? Look at the name here. If you go to the radio button, the name is gender. Okay, why they have the same name? Because you only gonna check one. Okay, if you make this name different, right, you will be able to check all, but that is not correct. So we keep the name same. In that way, we only allow to check one. Okay. So always remember how to create the radio button, right? Good. So we got that now, right? Finally, we have all the value now: username, password, country, subscribe, gender. We got all the value, right? So let's console log all that one. Console log username equal to whatever value, password, country, subscribe, gender, all that, right? That is console logging. So now how this will work? Simple. You're gonna click this button, right? The function is attached to that button, correct? The function here, and click, this function is attached. So let's go and inspect now. I mean, let's go to the console now, right? Console. So when I click this, look at here. Gender is female, subscribe is true, we get Boolean value. Country is USA, password is whatever we type, and the John Doe, right? If I change this and submit again, right? Whatever change value with password, USA, country, you can change that also. That is by default. Let's see, I change to Mexico now, right? And add 1, 2, 3, 4, male, submit. So see, now I select the Mexico, whatever the value is there, we get that. True, male, and the username, password, right? Fine. So that is one way to select, right? That is one way, I mean, to select. So let's go back and check some of the information I added here, right? So if you go back in our GitHub, right? So the question is, let me explain the question now. It says complete and debug code retrieving, right? Let's see, retrieving the form value, identifying the DOM path, right? How you identify the DOM path? DOM path. So let's see. DOM path means, what is DOM, right? What is DOM? You have to understand. DOM is all this HTML loaded in the page when we go live, right? That is DOM. Okay. Now, if you want to access, let's say you want to access this paragraph, right? Inside the HTML, there is a container with ID container, class name content, paragraph with ID called paragraph, correct? To identify the DOM path of an element, you can use document.querySelector or document.getElementById, or all that, one of the function you can use, right? But simply, I will recommend just to use document.querySelector. And if there is the ID, then hashtag whatever, right? So for example, let's say you want to select this paragraph, you can do this also, that is okay, right? Or when you have ID, you can directly access just the one paragraph, right? Hash paragraph will work, okay? So document.querySelector hash container, that is container, space class name dot content space hash paragraph, because it is ID, right? Put in the quotation mark. Okay, remember, whatever you pass here will be in the quotation, right? Done. So that is query selector, correct? Now this paragraph is paragraph equal to that paragraph, right? So what we can do, let's why not try here example dot HTML, right? And let's make script also, okay? Example .js, okay? So I will link this. DOM example, right? And so how we link that JavaScript? Let's put here a script source tag dot slash and example JS. Fine. So if I bring this code, right, simply I bring this code here. I mean, this is a script, right? So you can write it here. That is, it will work also. But if not, you can copy this. Let me delete this now, right? Simple enough. Just imagine, this is the div with container, paragraph, div inside again, and then another div, right? So let's go live view. See, this is a paragraph. That is what you see here on the page, right? Now the question is, how you going to access this? So very simple now, right? You can just go here, let paragraph paragraph equal to document right, dot get element by ID. You can do this. That's the first choice you can do, right? When you have the ID, document get element by ID, right? You can just write ID now. So the ID is paragraph. Here, done. So let's do one thing, right? By doing this is accessing the paragraph directly. Can I console log and check if that is okay or not? I mean, if I get the paragraph or not, right? This is a variable now. This paragraph is stored in the memory variable, okay? Basically in the memory, right? Stored in this name, paragraph. So I can inspect and check now. So see, I have this paragraph, right? See that? console log paragraph, I'm accessing that exact paragraph. But if I just do paragraph variable dot text content, save now, right? See, I get that text or inner text, right? Inner text. Same thing, right? I will get that paragraph text. Okay. So the thing is, you must clear, how you can access, right? Or you can do, query selector like that. In that case, because query selector work for name, class, and ID. So that's why we have to tell it, okay, this is IDs. You must, track or basically identify with hashtag. That is ID, right? And should be same now. See, we have access to this paragraph, and you can do dot inner text or not inner text, inner text content, or maybe inner text. That's same, right? See, you have this paragraph. Clear? So that is the first thing, right? What is the next one? How we can get value of the different types of element, right? Like text box, password, checkbox, all that, right? So same thing, you can access each element with get element by ID, whatever the name, right? ID name, ID equal to something, and then the value. For example, we understand the text box already, right? Sorry, not text. We didn't understand the text box. That will be form. So here, let's imagine you have simple input, right? Input like this, text, okay, and it has a ID, correct? ID with, let's call it what in call, right? Full name. Something like that. That is the ID. Just imagine, right? That is the ID. So first we know, right, what are the HTML element for input. Input means user can go online and type something to send data, right? So these are the input element. What are the all input elements, guys? Anyone? We have input, right? Then you have select, then you have a select, and what else we have? Text area, right? Area. These are some input elements. Of course, input has many, like email, password, radio, checkbox, right? Type, okay? So if I want to get value from this input, what I will do? That's the point, right? So I know this ID full name, or even I can give a name here, right? I can give a name like this. You can put, so it's all about how you access. Fine. So let's go back here, and then you can just get let name equal to document dot get element by ID or query selector, right? So if you have ID, then just get it full name, right? Like that. And if you console log this name, you will get that that input field, right? So let's check here. Look at this input field. You get input access to input field, and if you want the value, dot value, because input field has something called value, right? So right now undefined, there is no value, but if you go put something here and enter, right? But you're not going to access this because we don't have like button to click and function to collect all this information, right? We don't have right now, but trust me, that work, right? How I can show you? By adding some default value, right? Let's do that one here. If I put value, this property, see, all input has, right? The input field means the place where we insert data, okay, or we collect data, right, from the page. They all have value, property called value, right? value value, okay, equal to John or Robert Welker, whatever, right? Like that. So now, right, go back here and then console log value value. See, we have this value available. Look at that. Because, the value property, this name is what? This name is that input, this input, and input has the default value, right? You can collect that, okay? If you change, let's see if it will work here, right? But I don't have the way to, like click and change, right? So it's not going to work. I can only access the default right now. But in HTML form, what happened? You fill out the forms, then you submit button, right? When you submit, what happened? There is a function which runs, and then it will go from top to bottoms, collect all that values, right? Because there is an action which take place, which is going to collect all the value. That's what we look here, right? Okay. So in this case, you don't see that. But I mean, you understand, right? How we collect all the values, okay? From the selection, from the checkbox, from the radio buttons and all that. That's the same thing, right? Collecting a value from the different input fields. Good. You have to practice that, right? So that is getting value from the different types of element, right? Different types of element means all the elements used for collecting data from the user. And I explained that already. Pre-populating that or masking, right? And updating the value. Okay, fine. So how you can pre-populate the value? Means pre-populating value means by, something like, okay, let's go back here and try to understand. So what you can do now, right? Let's say this left side is what? The variable, and the right side is the value, right? Like this is the input field. But I need to pre-populate something. That means what I'll just remove this, or let's leave it, no problem. I will just say document, right? Remember, left side will be the placeholder or identifier, right? Get element by ID, left side, full name, right? Full name. And then its value inside that, it's inside this property called value equal to now, right? I'm going to add something. This is new value, right? Like that, and save. So check now. Let's go back. So refresh the page. Okay, because I don't know why it did not work. Because my JavaScript might be running fast, right? So what I will do for now, I will just gonna clean that up, right? Let's remove this default one from here and see. So still it did not work. Input document.get element by ID full name. Is that okay? Oh no, the small letter here. Save, right? Now you can see this pop up, right? This is the new value. So even if I leave the value here, right? Is that make different? Value equal to robot welfare. Save. So see, now I just pre-populate the value, right? But normally in the update, in the case of update, right? When you updating something, what's gonna happen? You click the update button. In that case, only you pre-populate the value here, right? Your update function will run. It will just get all the default value and populate in the form, right? Then you're gonna make some changes and then click on again like save change and something like that, and then this new information will go back to the save, right, to the database. But remember always left side equal to the value. So this is what? This is the input field, and inside there is input has a property called value, and on the right side we just give the value. See, that's how we add value or basically populate the value to the form. Clear? So in the all field will be same thing. Okay, if you look at here now, right? So like country dot value, or maybe select value, right? Document get element by id country dot value. So this is the selects value. Okay, this is all select value, right? Fine, this is all select value. Pre-populating value, right? Look at here. See, this is the one. Okay, and then again next line, document get element by password dot value. Again you can add password, right? Or you can add the new document get element by id country dot value, whatever country you want to add. Checkbox, you want to populate it and make it false, right? Check. So checked is the boolean attribute. When you have checked, that means either true or false. Okay, that is boolean, right? So you don't see, you know, like when I say boolean, right? You don't have to write okay checked equal to, you know, something like true. When it is boolean, you don't have to like that. Okay, you don't have to write in this way. Just put it checked, done, right? Either checked or maybe not checked. Okay, so checked equal to, so there is a property called check. So this will access to that field dot checked equal to false. How you update value? Same thing, you know, you accessing the field, right? Dot value equal to whatever the new value, that is update username or update whatever password. So that is same thing, populating and updating, right? Same thing. It just depends. It just work on different function, you know, like when you are updating, you have update functions. When you are, you know, populate function, but it's almost same process. Left side will be the element dot value, element access to element. Okay, document get element by whatever element dot whatever property you want to check or change, right? If that is value, in case of input, then that is value. But if that is radio button or checkbox, then you just use this checked, right? Dot checked equal to whatever, true or false. So the next thing is complete and debug the code that perform input validation, case string comparison and all that, right? So let's say you have HTML form, right? You fill out the form. How you can check if the data are okay, right? Before you send for save in the database. So let's quickly add one form here called validation, right? So I'm just gonna copy this form, okay, and go live view and check. So you see something like this, right? Here is the, you know, I can put my name here, then age, maybe I'll put this, whatever the password is here, 6, like that, and type something. Okay, so now type something here, right? Confirm password and submit. So if I submit, it should give me something, right? Console log and okay, so let's see, submit, and it says validation is not defined at on click, right? Reference error, validation form is not defined at HTML element on click. Fine. So let's see. So here is a validation form, right? Correct. So right now I don't have the, you know, JavaScript code. So what I can do is inside here I'll just write JavaScript. So in the body I can put a script, and I'm gonna bring the validation code. So go back here and I'll just copy this, right, and put inside here. Okay, so let's go one by one and try to understand. But let's click one time, right? And you can see age cannot be blank, right? Password do not match. Okay, look at this. Age cannot be blank, password do not match. So whatever I put here did not match. So if I age, let's say put 12, and password will be 1 2 3 4 5, and again here I will put 1 2 3 4 5 and submit, right? Password must contain at least one uppercase, right, letter. Okay, so that means I'll just put here P, capital P, uppercase P, right, and submit. Look at here, form submitted successfully, right? So all my data is okay, everything valid. That means form submitted successfully. This data will now gone to this submit handler function, right, which will connect to the API, send the data there, and the API will store the data in the database. But this part, right, we're just going to look at the simple form validation. That is what we're going to learn here. Okay guys, before we start validating, let's look at this. Anyone have anything on this part? This is the body, right? Inside there is just simple form with ID my form. There is a label, username, which you see here, and then input type text, ID is username, right? Why ID? To improve the accessibility, right? This label must recognize the input field here because of the same ID and for name, right? Look at this. Okay, the name is username. Fine. Next line, same thing. For age, then you have label for password and input field for the password, which you see here. Same thing for the confirm password and input field for the confirm password, right? Simple form. Then you have submit button. Okay. Type is button. On click, we just call this function on click, right? Simple enough. Submit. Now you have the ID with error message. Color is red. And this is the blank box div, right? Blank div with ID. Later, in our validation, if there is something to, like send message to the user, right? That your field is not correct, fill out again or something like that. We just pass this message here, okay? Inside this div, insert inside this div, right? That's why we have this blank box. So let's say I click this submit button. I will just make something wrong here and submit, right? So password do not match. So that means this div is running, right? And I will show you now by going back to the element inside the body. And this, look at this div with error message and password do not match. So we just inserted that text inside this div. By default, it is empty, but we just insert based on the message from here. So how we can do all that, right? I mean, you get the idea of what is happening, right? Simple forms. Let's do the validation. So we have validation function. This function will run first, right? Every time when you click, you want to make your box empty, right? The error box, okay? Because you don't want to display this message when it is correct. Like I add the P here, right? Everything is correct. I mean, you can see here, but the thing is, I have the success message, right? That is okay. Okay, so when there is a success, you don't want to see that. Fine. So that's why we have this cleanup, right? Document.get element by ID, error message, dot inner HTML equal to blank. So we know that part. We have seen this, right? Last time. Inside that div, whatever is there, just clean up, right? Make it empty. Now let's access all the field, right? Document.get element by ID, username. That's the first one. Dot value. So we're going to store in this username variable, okay? So that will give us the value. Now you want to do the trim function, run the trim function, right? What is that? So let's look at the trim, understand the trim function. So maybe you never use. So simply when you do validation, we want to trim also, right? So for example, let's say I have this text and some space here like this. That is all space is string, right? Then I'm going to call that is my value, right? So I can call the trim function. And see, you just remove all the space and I get that, right? If that is empty, for example, I just have no text there. Then, or maybe just empty space, right? Something like that. Trim will remove the space and it will give me empty string, right? Empty value, okay? So if I don't type anything here, we get some empty value, right? User cannot be blank. Okay, we know that one, that is empty. So that's why the trim is used to clean up the string spaces, right? All that. Okay. So you can access all the fields and their value, you can trim it. On the right side is value. So that's why document get element by ID, confirm password dot value and trim, right? Same thing here. One field, two field, three field, four field, right? There is total 4 fields. So you can see username, age, password, confirm password, 4 different field value. I have simple error box, array, empty array right now. Let errors equal to empty array. Now I'm gonna check the validation starts here. Check if the user is not blank, right? So if user equal to empty, then inside this array I'm gonna push errors dot push username cannot be blank, right? Fine, you can push that. If age, right, check for age also. If age is empty, then age cannot be blank. You can push that message. If age is not empty, right, then we will check if there is not like something like this. Okay, we want number. So is not a number, right? So it will, whatever string you pass here, it is a not a number. What gonna happen, right? That will be like false, right? Okay, so you're gonna get, it will just return false. So age must be number, right? So when, let's say, is not a number, right? Is not a number. So in case of let's say string, sorry guys, in case of string, if this is not a number, so age we get from here, right? We get the age from here. You passing that string to a function called is not a number, and you passing string, some string, random string. So that will give false. Not false, basically true, right? That is true, but that, because that is not a number. How I can let's do this, is not a number, right? And just pass something. There is nothing that is true, but if I pass here maybe some string, right, like that, see, is not a number is true, right? So that means when else if has a true true part, it will just push that age must be a number. That assures that there is no number, right? That's why you're gonna run this function. I mean, this if will run, else if will run, and insert that error to the inside this box, right? Fine. Next, check for password again. Same thing. If there is empty, you can, password cannot be blank. Confirm password. Check for empty, and confirm password cannot be blank. In case of password, if these two pass, right, then if password is not equal to confirm password, then you can password don't match, right? You can again return this or push the error message right there. Now next we can add some regex, like sensitive check, right? So this is just one check. Okay, you can add multiple, right? You can put small letter, capital letter, then I think we can do number, maybe 0 to whatever, you can put 9. So any number between that. You can put maybe something like how many character of password you need, right? Maybe 8, right? So you can add more complex regex, but let's not make complex for now. Simple, right? We want to check at least one capital letter, okay? One character, right? At least. So if there will be no capital letter, right? Anything here, at least one character. If we don't have, then it will return false. So test.password. So let's check that also, understand. So let's see what I will just put here at A, like this, capital A, G. You just understand, right, what is happening here. And then we say dot test, right? Test. This function is built in, okay? False. But if I just put at least something like this and one capital letter, right? See, I get true. So that means, okay, my validation work, right? Fine. So if you put a small a to G, right? So that is fine. You can it did not let's say you did not test, right? You just look for one value here right now, I believe. So there is way to put all the complex regex, okay? The capital letter, small letter, at the rate, whatever, right? You can make that regex string and then use that string to test your password, right? But for now, let's keep it simple here, A to Z, and this gives true. But if you remove this P, you get false, right? Same thing here. If you don't insert one password, this will return false. So if this is false, you make it true, right? And then push the password must contain at least one uppercase letter. Clear? When you get false, then we make not false and insert this value, because not false will be true and then it will insert that value. Fine. Now we display that error message. If errors.length is greater than 0, means if here is some item, right, like some error message here, maybe 1 2 3, whatever message is there, right? That's why we check. If there is error message length greater than 0, then we're gonna call our error message box dot inner HTML equal to array dot join. Remember, array can have a string, right? And you can join the string, okay, with what the parameter will be line break. Just pass this HTML, right? Just add line break to each string, okay? So that's why when I submit, you see something like this, right? H cannot be blank, confirm password, all that line by line message. Else, let's say we pass all the tests, then else alert form submitted success, alert, right? Or you can console log here, does not matter, just console log or alert, console.log, form submitted successfully, right? Like that. Before that, you can just, like clean up this, because when you enter here, right, you can do the cleanup also, that error box. Just do this, run that command again. So here we can run that, right? So let's add something here like 45. Then I'm gonna, put 1 2 3 4 5 and maybe P capital, and 1 2 3 4 5 and P capital, right? So if I don't put P, you'll see password did not match, right? But soon I put P here, submit, see, you will get form submitted successfully. Look at that console log, right? So here you can, like display the data also, right? You can do the console log, right? And then you can just call all that variable USER username, age, password, right? Just for fun, okay, submit. No thanks. So I don't have age here. Let's make 45. Put this password, right? 1 2 3 4 5 capital P. 1 2 3 4 5 capital P. Submit. And okay, so form submitted successfully. Console, I did mistake here because I didn't put the log now, right? So submit again. No thanks. Okay, so every time it gives me error, right? Let's clean this up. I don't know why. So let's add 45, change this password. Capital P, 1 2 3 4 5 capital P, and submit. And you can see now, right? That's the name, username, age, and the password is this. So that's just imagine now this data, right? You're gonna send to the server by calling another function or whatever, right? But this is the simple validation. Okay, that's how you do the validation, right? So in here, what it says, right? Validation. So you check for like case, like string comparisons, not a number. We check for that, not a blank, so these are the few validations we do, right? So make sure you understand that part. Okay, this will be a little difficult to understand, but if you focus, will be okay, right? Unsubmit. Now next is describe the form submission process, right? unsubmit, post, get, potential targets for submission, right? So just read through here a little bit of, like some basic stuff. Process, okay, what is the process, right? To describe the form submission process, the first thing, right, when you have a form, what we do, right? User fill the forms, the user enters the data into the form field, user submit the form, right? The user submit the form by clicking the submit button or triggering the form submission event, right? When you click the button, the form will start, processing something by whatever function attached to it. Validation, right? Before form submit, client side validation using JavaScript. So that is what we saw just now. Then you might have the server side validation, right? So, when you send the data to server or client side, we see just now the client side validation, but this data will go to the server and there also we do the validation, okay? So that is the validation, form validation part. Then form submission, if the validation passes, right, the form data is sent to the server. This is done using either get or post method, right? So these are the, like HTTP function, okay? What is HTTP, right? Like sending the data over the protocol, hyper transfer, HTTP, right? Hypertext transfer protocol, right? That is the protocol, use protocols, right, for transferring data from one place to another through the net, right, internet, okay? So these are the just functions used for sending the data. Server processing, server process the form data, performs any necessary actions like saving the data to the database, sending an email, right, all that things. So that server will process, right? Response handling, after the data is processed, server can send response to the client, like whoever is submitted the form can receive the, like some kind of a response back from the server, right? So that is all the, like process of handling form. The difference between unsubmit, post and get, right? See, like we can use post or get, right? And unsubmit also. So what is the difference? Using unsubmit, what we do, right? Here, unsubmit, we can call the function, right? Any like return function or just call function, right? So this function will grab all the forms field value and basically, send somewhere to the server, right? Can do that. Or maybe we can run multiple functions, like we do the data validations and all that, right? Okay, so that is unsubmit. So unsubmit attribute is unsubmit, right? This is just the attribute here. Is in the form tag allow you to execute JavaScript before the form is submitted, right? So this function will run before basically data will be submitted somewhere, okay? Just imagine, unsubmit function, this function will just run first. That is all, right? What is post and get? So get method. See, sometimes you see in the URL like this, right? Name equal to something, right? Some value here. Okay, something like this, right? Then comma, maybe whatever, not comma, but something like that. Space is equal to something, right? Okay. So you see the browser parameter here, right? Name is something like that. So when you are sending data using the get, right? The data is append to the URL as a query parameter. These are the query parameter after question mark. So that whatever form data will be append here when we use the get method, okay? So use suitable, use case, right? Suitable for form submission where the data does not cause side effect like searching, filtering. When you are searching, filtering, it's okay, right? You can click on the search. Whatever search data will be sent to the URL. This will open the new page, and there we just use this value, right? URL value to search our data from the database. And we have seen that during our project, okay? During the search, right? We have done that. So that is what get is used for, okay? And next is post, right? Post is like you don't want to add data here in the search params or basically in the parameter, right? Or we call it query parameter. You don't want to add something here. like sensitive data. For example, you filling out the online form to request money from the bank or something like that, right? Online transactions, creating emails, whatever, right? You don't want to send data through the URL, okay? So that will be post method. Okay, so the method, right? So see, this is how you attach the method, right? Either get or post, right, in the form, okay? So here the suitable for the submission where the data causes a side effect like creating a user, submitting a form. Basically, if the data is sensitive, right, you don't use get, we use post method. And data is sent in the HTTP request, right? In the body of the HTTP request. No significant data length limit. Okay, data is not visible in the URL, which is more secure, right? You can send large amount of data and all that through the post method. So these are the some stuff you have to understand, and what I will ask you guys to basically practice this, right? Just go through and try to practice. Okay, use all the methods, API of the document, how you can access the form data, how you can update the form, right? And then next is validation, right? This one, if you understand validation, I think almost you understand most of the thing, right? So try this. If you have any question, please let me know tomorrow, right? So yeah, just practice, right? Just practice all this and then see tomorrow what we can do. I don't know, maybe I will let you guys practice, or if not, we will just do the some of the important functionality of the JavaScript needed, right? Essential, like skills for JavaScript to learn React. Okay, so we can talk about that maybe 30-minute class, or we just do something revision here, right? Whatever you guys advise, okay, it's up to you, or you just want to practice, right? So let me stop here for now.